last night we had Jennifer Lopez, an Oscar snub, and we will be talking Oscars later. Um, and Shakira, who
Yes.
has neglected to pay her taxes to the tune of like 12.2 million euro or something like that. So both snubs in different ways. Performing on the stage last night, and woo, I was sweating at the end of that performance. They really brought the energy. They brought some other things to the table. How are you feeling about the Super Bowl halftime show?
I thought it was a good one. Lots of the dancing and the choreography that they both brought to the table was definitely strong, entertaining, obviously for a variety of reasons. Yeah, also I think important because I think neither one's like an amazing top tier vocalist. They don't have Demi Lovato's pipes, for example, but they're both the whole package because in terms of entertainment. So I thought it was really well done show. I was kind of surprised that Shakira just kind of had her own like mini opening set in the beginning. That's pretty uncommon the way it's gone. I mean, I can't remember the last time the lead act on the halftime show didn't start it off. That was an interesting change, but yeah, overall I thought it was pretty cool. I have only watched it one time live, but I'd like to see it again just because it was. I mean, they're always medleys, but this was like hardcore medley. They ran through songs. I kind of would have liked to hear "Let's Get Loud" and "Hips Don't Lie" just a little bit longer, personally, but they just kind of kept ripping through the next moment. But it was really good.
Did you catch the political statements that were made, like with the kids sitting in the cages and like the Puerto Rican flag and things like that?
Obviously, the Puerto Rican flag's hard to miss. I think I missed the cages, to be honest. When was that?
Yeah, so there was like one point where they had like
stage at various points.
Yeah, they had one kid that was like singing for a little while. I don't remember which song it was, but then they like kind of panned over the crowd or over like the performers on the stage, and it was dark, and they had like light up cages around them. It was I didn't catch it in real time. I thought it was just like, oh, that's an interesting like thing, but then I saw people posting about it, and I was like,
right,
okay. I wasn't really watching with the political mindedness at the forefront of my radar, so to speak. Just kind of was looking for the entertainment value. But as you know, everything is political today, Dave. So Jennifer Lopez and Shakira did not shy away from making a statement. So shouts to them and standing up for their political beliefs. We talked about the Super Bowl halftime. Some good, some bad since we started the podcast. Justin
Maroon
Timberlake.
5, bad.
Yeah, Maroon 5, not great. Would this one fall into your top 5 of all time?
I mean, heavy recency bias, right? I think the problem with doing a Super Bowl ranking is I didn't see all of them. You
can watch most of them now.
Yeah, you can. Also, I feel like a lot of them, the broadcast was just a lot different. It was not as strong a viewing experience. The whether it's like big pyrotechnic stuff or just the way the camera moves. Some age better than others.
Yeah.
I think of like, was it 1993 Michael Jackson? That looks like a 1993 broadcast.
Yeah.
I mean, MJ still brings it, of course. That was, him damn near at his peak, but I feel like some have kind of fallen by the wayside. But the production values are just so strong now that I feel like I do kind of have a recency bias overall.
Well, and I think the recency bias makes sense because, pretty much until 2001, after that Michael Jackson performance, the rap was the Super Bowl halftime show kind of sucked to play. No one wanted to do it. And then they let MTV take it over because it had kind of fallen to the point where like no one really wanted to do it because of the restrictions the NFL was putting on the performance. Right. And then you had, Aerosmith, NSYNC, Britney Spears, Nelly, Mary J. Blige, just like a orgasm of every single
grab bag.
Like artist that they could possibly think of to put on the stage. Ending in a pretty iconic walk this way dance moment with all those stars, which is kind of fun to think about. I think this would make my top 5 though, because I'm trying to think like the ones that really stand out. I mean, there's the meaningful ones, there's the really good performances, but I think for just like the energy this brought, the uniqueness of it. You know, it being basically two female performers, you know, where
Mhm.
usually there's a male performer involved, except for Beyonce when her and
Right.
Destiny's Child obviously burned it down, and also bringing a Latin flair to it. You know, really making it
Yes.
feel like it's this was a Miami halftime show, and I appreciated that. It
Yeah.
really felt like a place. So definitely would make my top five. Do any other Super Bowl halftime shows really stand out to you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everyone goes to the Prince one as the best one from '07. It's kind of funny because I the Prince one is in the middle of the post Timberlake Janet Jackson snafu, which then led to the halftime show being
Mm-hmm.
very old and different for about 10 years, right? What was it? Paul McCartney,
And Bruce,
Stones,
yeah,
Springsteen, The Who, um, man, Pete Townsend. Well, 2010, yeah, he was old by then. That was rough.
that was
Um,
tough.
but like the Prince one's stuck in the mid, right in the middle of that in '07, and like I'll be honest, like it's not like my favorite of them all. I feel like people kind of have this like warm memory of it because like it rains and
Mm-hmm.
Prince is no longer with us, and it's like also not like the flashiest or showiest. Just like Prince is just like a boss, and that's
Yeah.
what he brings to that. And he
Mm-hmm.
like he was I think he was like what, like 40, 49 or something when he did it, so he wasn't even that old.
Yeah.
So I mean, is that your favorite one? Like I feel like that's kind of like the default these days.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely my favorite one, not only for everything you talked about. They had a really cool stage design for that,
Yeah.
especially when Purple Rain plays at the end and it's raining and it shows his like huge silhouette on this like big like backdrop that's like flapping in the wind. It just is like unbelievable. And he also didn't just stick to Prince songs. He starts off with We Will Rock You and
Right.
then does a huge guitar riff, goes into Let's Go Crazy. He brings in Proud Mary at one point, does All Along the Watchtower. It's just like it's everything you want in a Prince performance. He just is like shredding the guitar, being this charismatic, enigmatic person that only Prince was, which is why I think it's my favorite. It also is just kind of like, yeah, you don't have the flashiness of like the dancing and the choreography, but I think that's actually almost what makes it stand out to me. Is it's so singular in terms of no other Super Bowl halftime show that I think is good
Sure.
is like that.
Sure.
U2 also comes to mind for me as a top one. Those
Oh, when
two,
was that?
that was 2002. So that was 4 months
Oh
after
shit.
9/11. And it
Right.
was the Patriots versus Rams Super Bowl. So that's
Uh,
obviously a close one for me.
uh,
But
Snow.
honestly, if you go back and watch it, I still get goosebumps when they play Where the Streets Have No Name with all the names of the people who died in 9/11 kind of rolling behind them.
Hmm.
And just like, it was just such a moment, and it's one of those things that like really felt like it made the halftime Super Bowl important for a little while, which I don't always think of it as important. Usually kind of just comes and goes and I forget who performs, but I'll never forget that one. So that one's probably my number two. What's your favorite one though? Because it doesn't sound like it's Prince.
No, it's not Prince. My favorite one's Lady Gaga from 2017. I just
That's a good
watched the
one.
whole thing again within the past week, and I think that one's like totally flawless. Like she just does like 6 or 7 bangers. She's dancing. She changes the costume. Like it's kind of like the whole package. It flies in the beginning,
Yeah.
like, and like it's the choreography that's like the avant-garde shit you expect from a Gaga,
Hmm.
but she's also like such like a boss performer that like, and like her voice is so strong that it really just comes across. Like I feel like that one really rocks still.
I think my only critique of that one is I feel like there's a part where she sings like A Million Reasons or something
Yep,
like that, and
that
that
is
kind of
correct.
like brings me down a bit.
Yeah.
And she also
But
has
then
that
she does
weird
Bad
exit.
Romance after that, which brings everybody back.
Right, which is just like you're like, okay, I'm gonna lull you to sleep and then like shock you back to life.
Right.
And if I remember, she has like a really weird exit where it's almost like she like jumps
Yeah.
off the camera or
She
something like that. I
drops
don't
the
remember.
mic and then she's like, Super Bowl 50 or whatever it was. Peace or something. She just flies in the. Yeah, it's hilarious.
So bizarre, but totally Gaga. So yeah, that's a good one. Not in my top five, but definitely would be up there.
Yeah.
What else is up there for you?
I mean, you mentioned it, but the first Beyonce one,
Yeah.
Beyonce headline, where she brings out Kelly and Michelle for Destiny's Child. Destiny's Child does Say My Name and Single Ladies.
Yeah.
That one's incredible,
Yeah.
obviously. Kind of similar to Gaga, similar to J-Lo and Shakira, the combination of great songs with amazing choreography and background dancing and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny, like the Coldplay one. quote unquote the Coldplay one, but really when Beyonce and Bruno Mars both come back for the
Yes,
second
yeah.
time. That's definitely Bruno's better Super Bowl because he had
Mhm.
headlined before. And then Beyonce does Formation out on the field at that one.
Yep.
And you just forget that Coldplay was the headliner.
Yeah.
Because Bruno and Beyonce were so good. I
Steal the
think it
show.
really elevates that one overall.
Yeah, that one has I think a good case to be in a top 5, especially because they use the whole field. If I remember, like Coldplay's in
Yeah.
the middle, and then Bruno comes from one side, and then Beyonce from the other side with like a whole marching band
Right.
behind her. It's just
Because it's like in the daytime, right?
yeah, it was
Yeah.
like it was West Coast, so it was like
Yeah.
6 p.m. there or something like that. So it's still light out. It's like I don't know, very very cool. Definitely a cool one. Yeah, I mentioned the Aerosmith one. I think that one's up there just because it's so like it just is so ridiculous to me that they had all those people on stage all just killing it. Like
Mhm.
when I watched that, I think the other day, I still was like in shock that it was like Nelly was just up there with like NSYNC and Britney Spears, and then you have Aerosmith and Steven Tyler just looking gangly
Right.
and weird, but also just killing it. It's a fun one.
Yeah.
But yeah, the halftime show, it's nice. It's nice when it feels like people talk about it and appreciate it. When it kind of just
Mhm.
comes and goes, I always feel a bit bummed.
Yeah. Yeah. I felt that way about Maroon 5 for sure.
Yeah.
And also Timberlake, who
Yeah.
which is just kind of a missed moment because Timberlake really is a song and dance man to his core, yet it was just kind of an inert performance from him 2 years ago, which is weird because he does have enough hits to sustain that. That was a little strange.
Yeah, they kind of missed their moment with him. I feel like if they had gotten him to do it right after the 2020 experience came out, would have been a much different and probably a better show. But
also, shout out Katy Perry, 2015, coming out on the Lion. Again,
And
when you're
Left Shark.
that strong a vocalist and you have a meme like Left Shark,
yeah,
pretty memorable.
I'm always gonna wonder if Left Shark was intentional or not. Like, it just feels too perfect and that it wasn't intentional. That it must have been intentional.
Do you have like
any
a golden goose for who the Grammys should get next? Because there's a few like obvious big names that have never done it, but like Beyonce's never gonna go back. Bruno's done. Like we've already done a few big people at this time, and I'm not sure who like a throwback like J-Lo and Shakira. Like I don't know. Like what are you gonna do, Gwen Stefani? Like I don't know if like the relevance for someone who's a little older is there right now. Do you have anyone?
I mean, I think someone like Taylor Swift could be a good headliner and bring in some like country stars with her. Maybe someone like Miley potentially. If they do like a mishmash. I feel like Miley, because she has such a strong like backing of so many legendary people. She could probably get some good ones. I don't really know though. I haven't thought much. I think the Foo Fighters would always be able to put on a good show. Pearl Jam, I think, is in that sweet spot.
Yeah, I mean they haven't done a rock band that wasn't supplemented in a while, right? And even Coldplay, not the most unique of rock bands, let's put it that way. As far as the big ones go, they're certainly not the Foo Fighters. And the Chili Peppers already got used for Bruno's first time.
Do we know where the next Super Bowl is? I'm not even sure.
We definitely do. I don't know off the top of my head. I mean, I think for me, it's Rihanna. If Rihanna would ever do it, that would be pretty wild.
Yeah, I just wonder, because I was thinking like Jay-Z, I feel like would be a perfect
politically.
Like, there's no way, right? Super Bowl, what is this? Next year is in Tampa. So some good Tampa artists. Why don't we get some of those up and coming Florida trap rappers to do this?
Miami, close enough.
Yeah,
get Denzel Curry.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
Lil Pump.
Just perform Zoo back to front. Well, why don't we wrap up Super Bowl talk there?
Yeah. Good job, team.